You think she doesn't care. You assume she moved on without a second thought. But here's the truth. When you disappear from her life, it creates an emotional storm inside her that she can't ignore. The absence of your presence leaves a void, whether she admits it or not. Women process loss differently than men, and understanding this can completely change the way you handle relationships. If you've ever wondered what goes through her mind when you're gone, stay with me. Because what happens next will surprise you. When you remove yourself from a woman's life, it doesn't just create an empty space. It triggers a psychological response that she might not even be aware of at first. Women process absence differently than men, while men tend to feel the loss in a more immediate way. Women often experience a delayed emotional response. It's not because they don't care, it's because their emotional wiring operates on a different timeline. In the beginning, she might seem unaffected, as if your absence doesn't bother her at all. But deep down, something is already shifting inside her. Women form attachments based on emotional security and validation. Even if she wasn't deeply in love with you, your presence still provided a sense of comfort, attention, and significance in her life. Whether she admits it or not, the human brain craves consistency. When that consistency is suddenly removed, the brain enters a state of confusion. It tries to fill the gap, searching for explanations, seeking distractions, and even creating justifications to minimize the impact of the loss. But here's the catch. No matter how much she tries to act indifferent, her subconscious mind is already reacting. The way a woman responds to your absence is heavily influenced by her attachment style. If she has an anxious attachment, she'll feel the loss almost immediately, even if she doesn't show it. She might try to distract herself, but deep down she's already wondering why you're not reaching out. She craves reassurance, but her pride may stop her from admitting it. On the other hand, if she has an avoidant attachment, she will initially feel relieved. She might even tell herself she doesn't need you, but as time passes, that avoidance turns into unexpected longing. Because here's the irony. People with avoidant tendencies struggle the most when faced with true absence. They fear dependency, yet they hate being forgotten. Even the most independent and emotionally strong women experience this internal struggle. It's not about being weak, it's about the psychological impact of emotional withdrawal. The human brain is wired to recognize patterns, and when a familiar presence disappears, it sends signals that something is missing. This is why she might suddenly start thinking about you at random moments, when she hears a song, when she sees something that reminds her of you, or even when she's alone with her thoughts. The absence creates space for reflection, and that's when the real emotional impact begins to surface. And this is where things get interesting. Women often don't realize the depth of their feelings until they're forced to sit with them. Your absence creates a vacuum that no amount of distractions can permanently fill. Even if she's surrounded by friends, keeping herself busy, or posting as if she's living her best life, there's a part of her mind that keeps going back to one thought. Why isn't he chasing me? That's when the shift begins, when the emotional detachment starts turning into curiosity, frustration, and eventually longing. At first, she convinces herself that she doesn't care. She tells herself that losing you doesn't affect her, that she's better off without you. And for a while, she might even believe it. This is the denial phase, where she actively suppresses any emotions tied to your absence. Women, especially those who don't want to appear vulnerable, have a natural tendency to act like they're unbothered. She might put on a brave face, pretending everything is normal, as if you were never that important to her in the first place. One of the first things she'll do to cope is distract herself. She'll surround herself with friends, go out more, post pictures online, and maybe even talk to other men. But here's the truth. None of it is as effortless as it seems. Every distraction is just a way to silence the thoughts creeping into her mind, because even when she's out with her friends, laughing and having fun, there's a part of her that wonders if you're thinking about her. She might even post things specifically to get your attention, subtly checking if you'll react. It's a game, and she's playing it to convince herself she still has control. Social media becomes her biggest weapon. She might start posting more selfies, sharing stories of her amazing life, making it seem like she's completely moved on. But here's what most men don't realize. If she truly didn't care, she wouldn't feel the need to prove anything. The exaggerated effort to appear happy is often a mask for the internal struggle she's facing. She's trying to convince not just you, but also herself that she's unaffected. But denial can only last so long. The distractions work temporarily, but they don't erase the emotional connection she had with you. At night, when she's alone with her thoughts, that's when the real battle begins. She starts replaying memories, thinking about the things you said, the way you looked at her, the moments you shared. It's in those quiet moments that she realizes something feels off. The absence she once dismissed as unimportant now starts to feel heavier. This is the stage where her mind starts fighting itself. On one hand, she doesn't want to admit she misses you. On the other, she can't ignore the fact that your presence once brought her a sense of validation, excitement, or security. This internal conflict is what makes women react in unpredictable ways. Some will double down on distractions, trying harder to appear unfazed. Others will suddenly grow irritable, snapping at small things because deep down, they're frustrated with the way they feel. And here's the key. During this phase, she will not reach out. Not yet. Her pride won't allow it. Instead, she'll wait. She'll see if you break first. She'll check if you're still watching her stories, liking her posts, or making any attempt to reconnect. Because in her mind, the moment you chase, she wins. And that's exactly why patience is your greatest advantage. As time goes on, the distractions begin to lose their power. The outings with friends no longer feel as exciting. The social media posts don't bring the same satisfaction. She starts to feel something that she was desperately trying to avoid: emptiness. This is where the emotional realization kicks in, and it's a stage that most men don't even realize is happening. See, in the beginning, she convinced herself that she didn't need you. But now, as the days or weeks pass, she starts to notice the little things: how nobody texts her good morning like you did, how the conversations she has with others don't have the same depth, how she doesn't feel as special as she did when she was with you. It's in these moments that your absence begins to feel real. One of the most powerful aspects of this stage is comparison. Women are constantly comparing, whether they realize it or not. She'll start measuring every interaction against what she had with you. Maybe she's talking to someone new, but the way he texts doesn't spark the same excitement. Maybe she goes on a date, but it doesn't feel as natural. This is when she begins to wonder, was I wrong for letting him go? And this thought? It's dangerous, because once doubt enters her mind, it grows. She starts looking at old pictures, scrolling through past conversations, revisiting memories that she once tried to block out. She might even ask mutual friends about you, casually slipping your name into conversations to see if you moved on. It's her way of testing the waters, trying to figure out if you're still available without making the first move. At this point, her emotions become unpredictable. One moment, she's nostalgic, missing the way things used to be. The next, she's frustrated with herself for feeling this way. She'll try to rationalize it, convincing herself that she made the right decision. But deep down, there's an unsettling feeling she can't ignore. She's realizing that your absence isn't just a temporary void, it's something that's starting to change the way she sees you. Here's what most men don't realize. This is where she starts to romanticize you. The flaws she once focused on become blurry. The arguments, the disagreements, the things she complained about, they don't seem as important anymore. Instead, she remembers the way you made her laugh, the moments when she felt truly desired, the times you made her feel like the most important woman in the world. And this realization, it's powerful, because the moment she starts missing the way you made her feel, she loses control. The dynamic shifts. You're no longer the man she thought she could replace so easily. Instead, you become the man she starts to crave again. And that craving, it's what makes women do things they never expected. At this point, something fascinating happens. She starts to feel like she's the one who lost something valuable. In the beginning, she might have thought she had control, that walking away or pushing you away wouldn't affect her much. But now, as your absence grows louder, she realizes something crucial. You were an essential part of her emotional world. See, women are deeply emotional creatures. Their feelings dictate their decisions more than logic does. And when a woman starts associating your absence with an emotional void, it creates an internal battle she can't ignore. She thought she could simply move on, distract herself, and forget. But instead, she's finding that you were much harder to replace than she expected. This is when the shift in power truly begins. because while she's caught up in her emotions, wondering why she suddenly misses you so much, you're not chasing her. You're not reaching out. You're not giving her any reassurance that you're still there. And that, more than anything, makes her feel uneasy. Women are used to attention. They're used to men trying to win them back, checking in, keeping the connection alive. But when that doesn't happen, when the man she thought she had control over suddenly becomes distant and unavailable, it creates a psychological reaction that she can't control. Doubt turns into insecurity. She starts wondering if you've moved on, if you've found someone else, if you ever even cared about her as much as she thought. And that's when she starts searching for signs, stalking your social media, asking mutual friends about you, looking for anything that tells her you still care. And if she doesn't find it, if she sees that you're thriving, that you're unbothered, that you're living your life as if she never existed, that's when panic sets in. Because here's the truth. Women don't want to feel replaceable. They want to believe that they were special, that they left a mark on you. So when they see you doing just fine without them, when they see that you're not desperate for their attention, it flips a switch in their mind. At this stage, she'll start doing things subtly to test the waters. Maybe she'll like an old post of yours. Maybe she'll randomly text you something casual just to see how you respond. Maybe she'll post something on social media that she knows will get your attention, hoping you'll react, hoping you'll give her a sign that she still has an effect on you. But the real power lies in what you do next. Because at this moment, she's already feeling the loss. She's already questioning herself. And if you play this the right way, she'll do something she never thought she would. She'll start chasing you. At this point, she's deep in her emotions. The void your absence created is no longer something she can ignore. What started as curiosity about where you went has now turned into an obsessive need to know. Every day that passes without a sign from you makes her question everything. Her choices, her feelings, and most importantly, your value in her life. See, women don't just miss a man because he was present. They miss a man because of how he made them feel. And when you suddenly remove yourself from her world, all those positive emotions you once provided become something she craves. She begins to compare. Every man she interacts with now has to measure up to what she once had with you. And whether she realizes it or not, most of them won't. She starts noticing the things she took for granted, your attention, your understanding, your presence. What once felt normal now feels rare. This is when the desire to reconnect becomes stronger than her pride. At first, she told herself she wouldn't reach out. She believed she could just move on. But as time goes on, that confidence fades. Now, she's strategizing ways to get back into your life without looking desperate. This might start with something small, maybe a random hey text, maybe a funny meme she thinks you'd like. Maybe she'll bring up something nostalgic, reminding you of an inside joke or a shared experience. These aren't coincidences. These are calculated moves. She wants to see if you'll take the bait, if you'll respond in a way that makes her feel like she still matters. But here's where most men fail. The moment she reaches out, they rush back in. They see that message and immediately think, she wants me back. And they throw all their power away by acting too eager, too available. What you need to understand is that her reaching out is just the beginning. It's a test. She's checking to see if you're still under her control, if she can just walk back in without effort. And if you let her, if you respond instantly, if you show too much excitement, she'll feel reassured and lose interest again. Instead, this is your moment to shift the dynamic completely. She has to feel like winning you back is a challenge, that she doesn't just get to walk back into your life on her terms. She needs to feel like she has to earn your time and attention now. This is where you keep things short, neutral, and slightly detached. You don't ignore her, but you don't validate her either. You don't reward her for coming back too easily. You make her work for it. And the more she feels like she has to chase, the more invested she becomes. This is how you turn the tables, because now she's the one afraid of losing you. And that fear, that's what keeps her coming back.